Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 24 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks fell in overtime to the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning by a score of 3-2, dropping their overall record to 12-7-5 on the season. But before we get to the game review, if you could do me a really big favor and hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, please comment down below if you feel the need. If there's something that we don't cover in the review that you want us to talk about, we'll be happy to jump in down in the comments and discuss it with you. Or if you think that we got something wrong or something right that you agree with, just anything that you want to interact with us, feel free to do so down in the comments. And with that, I am joined as always by Chai Sports fan Joe. Joe, tough loss tonight.
Yeah, tough one to swallow there. I mean, especially for as well as the Hawks played for that, for the most part for the first 40 minutes of the game. But, Tampa's, there's a reason why they've won 16 of 21, and any mental mistake or any, mental error you make, most of the time they're going to make you pay by putting the puck on the back of the net, and that's what they did on two of those, kind of blunders that the Hawks had coming out into the third period. And just a little bit, a couple, posts, and a bit more, some kind of bad luck goes against us, with Highmore's breakaway being stopped, and then DeBrincat hitting the post in OT, and of course Hedman getting the winner there with less than a second left. It's a tough loss, but it's another learning experience for this team.
Yeah, there was some really some bad luck, obviously, on that first Tampa Bay goal. Um, the tip that I believe it was it Killorn, yeah, or wait, Sorelli. It's off
Mm-hmm.
the Jan Ruda shot, former Chicago Blackhawk Jan Ruda, who had a very good first period and a very good game actually. I don't know what the stats was. Let me look here. Yeah, Jan Ruda played 20 minutes tonight. That's quite impressive. And I don't know if Luke Shen was injured or
No, he played. I mean, but I don't know how much ice time he got.
a whole 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And Cal Foot was next lowest at 13. But Sergachev, 25 minutes, Pedman, 27, and McDonough, 26. And then Ruda at 20. So, I mean, they're getting big minutes out of their defensemen, which, I mean, good for them. Um, I think this is in particular, kind of a similar tough loss like that one. I think it was against Columbus where they had a 2-goal lead going into the third. And it just felt like that was, you had 2 points in the bag and then you just couldn't close it out. And Patrick Kane has talked about it in several post games, it seems like, where he talks about being able to finish. And I had tweeted out during the first intermission, or maybe not even the first intermission, I think it was midway through the first, actually, that it seemed to me the Blackhawks were thinking too much and they were struggling with their passing. They were doing errant passes, Kane even. I don't know if they were gripping their sticks too hard, but the puck was bouncing a lot. And they were just struggling, I think, to really get things going in the first. And then in the second period, they played one of their best periods all season. Um, and then we get to the third, and it seems like from the first to the third period, at least to the first 5 minutes of the third period, they just slowly started to relax and to relax. And then it got to the point where they relaxed too much and Tampa took full advantage. But then again, like I said, first Tampa goal was a weird tip. The game winner, obviously, with 1/10 of a second in overtime left. I mean, the Hawks just got really unlucky tonight, really more than anything. And I mean, one of the things that I noticed was they just, and this is it's similar to the Vegas series, really, during the bubble. The Hawks just couldn't get out of the neutral zone. Like they couldn't move the puck up. And I don't know if that's a size problem. I don't know if it's a IQ problem where you just need to carry the puck in or to dump and chase or what it is, or if it's like again being afraid to make a mistake kind of a thing. I don't know. They were just
Yeah, and I think it was more, too. We I know we had talked about it a little bit before we came on with, you're looking, especially the power plays tonight, and I mean, obviously we let in the shorthanded goal to kind of start the slide there to and give Tampa the momentum, but and I know we talked about it as about this to maybe get Brandon Hagel some time on the first unit because when we're in the neutral zone and I feel like we try that push him back entry, getting it to Kane or DeBrincat to try to enter the zone, but a lot of the times we're getting hung up right at the blue line because teams are kind of stacking their guys right in there to where we can't really get anything going, and they're stripping the puck and then clearing it right back down. So I think it's a point where you got to maybe get a player like Hagel or Carpenter on the first unit, which I believe Carpenter did play on the power play a little bit. But to be able to get a guy down in the corners when you dump and chase to win the battles, to be able to gain the possession, just that way to set up a power play chance.
yeah. I don't know. Like I tweeted out and we talked ad nauseum before we jumped on here about um this team just they're they're hurt, man. I mean they're missing three, if not four, out of their top six. I mean, for three for sure. We can't really say where Nylander would be, but at least last season Nylander was somebody that was in their top six. But just missing Strom, even like it just has felt all the way through this lineup and how difficult. And it's not just tonight, but how difficult it's been to not just score. Because I know I've talked about putting the puck in the net, and obviously we can get into the stats, the advanced stats about scoring chances and that in a little bit, but it's just having those bigger bodies, whether it's a Johnny Taves, whether it's a Kirby Doc, a Dylan Strom, guys that are over 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", Doc's 6'3", just getting that bigger size with those guys that can advance the play and push play and just create and kind of dictate on the ice, because the only guy that can really dictate on the ice right now is Patrick Kane. I still think Alex DeBrincat, God love him, as much as he's improved this season, he's still not, I don't think, a general out there. I think he's still kind of he's kind of like Batman to Superman, if you will, or like Panarin was to Kane. Kane has always been the guy. Um, and it's great they've got that chemistry and that it works. But the Hawks just are lacking that oomph in their top six. They just don't have it. And as much as I talk about putting the puck in the net, I think the reality of the situation is, especially tonight, if you have Doc tonight, if you have Taves tonight, and you have Strom, if you have a fully healthy Chicago Blackhawks team tonight, I think they win this game. I don't have any reservations making that statement. I mean, and that's what's, I think, so beyond frustrating. I was talking about this with Joe, that it's just there's
Right. I
so
mean,
much.
injuries are a part of it, and unfortunately, yeah. I mean, when it seems like this year, especially when it's rained, it's poured with this team as far as injuries,
Well,
and
and I
you
think
know,
maybe something that maybe frustrates me even more is because the national media doesn't talk about that. Look, and I am not really a fan of Jeremy Colleton, and we will talk about this in the Splinters episode coming up. But the fact that nobody is talking about what Jeremy Colleton has done with this team, I mean, Kane is starting to get some recognition as MVP, and here and there, people are talking like, and it's more. and of course, we're going to do a story on it, or a kind of offshoot, story form podcast with this. But I think it's the only reason it's even getting like mentioned right now is that it's because it's Joel Quenville and Jeremy Colleton are the two top guys right now for the Jack Adams Award. But I don't think there's any question at this point. It's Jeremy Colleton's. I mean, again, me and Joe were talking about it, and we've talked about it in prior episodes. This team is missing $30 million from its cap space. Third, like just on 80 million, you're missing half of your cap space almost, and you're in fourth place. And you should have. I mean, if it wasn't for bad luck, they should have won tonight. And you against the defending champion that's been steamrolling the division this year. And it's just like what he's been able to do, he deserves all the credit in the world. And it's just it's starting to irritate me. I think that everyone's overlooking the Hawks, and that even that we're kind of having this discussion as well. Are the Hawks good or are they not good? Well, we're going to find out if they're good this month. And it's like, yeah, but we've already played Carolina and we've hung with them, and now we're playing Tampa, and we should have beat them tonight.
Right. And I think that's like, most Hawk fans. I mean, I think most of the Hawk fans, I mean, at least myself, kind of like, coming into the season with all the injuries we had. All right, well, if we win 15 or 20 games, that's a win. We're likely looking at a top 5 pick. Well, that's pretty much probably out the window at this point. I mean, obviously, unless March just completely goes downhill, which I don't expect from this
Oh yeah,
team, but
like I don't know, and I'd have to see this. I know Dom over at the Athletic always has like a playoff probability predictor. Um, the Hawks have to be at least like 60% at now to get into the playoffs, unless like
right,
you said, it just goes downhill
right,
because Dallas is playing like awful hockey, and
right, and they have a
Columbus.
lot of games to make up, and so I mean, who knows? But you never know. They could get hot. Any team could get hot at any given point, and just roll with it. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but like you said, now if we go into the playoffs with the team we have right now, do we win? Maybe. Do we win a game? Yeah. I mean, but it'll remind me more so if we have to face a Carolina or a Tampa, where if we get one win in a series, okay, then that's what we expect. But like you said, Kyle, if we had, Taves, if we had Doc, if we had Nylander, if we had Shaw, Strom, if all these guys weren't hurt, yeah, then I think we could definitely go toe to toe with them in a series. Would we win it? No, but I could definitely see us going 6 or 7. But who knows? We might even win it. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I still think, and this is so just to get people so they're not confused, because I think I confuse a lot of people when I say that this team needs a scorer. Like, I'm not just talking about to win now. Like, I'm talking about in the future when this team's fully healthy. So, hypothetically, Doc and Taves are on the team healthy, because I think, like Joe was just saying, do we beat Tampa or do we beat Carolina if we have Strom, Doc, and Taves? Probably not. Maybe you can get lucky, right? That's obviously you can always get lucky. But if you had Taves, Doc, Strom, plus a 30 goal scorer like a Mike Hoffman or a Taylor Hall or somebody else that can slot in the wings somewhere and put the puck in the net on that first line. And then you got Kanan to break it with Doc down in the second line. And you've pushed Khrushchev and Kubalik down to that third line with either, well, and you got Suter or whatever combination is that you have, you're a complete team at that point. So when I talk about adding another goal scorer, I'm talking about making this a complete team because I don't think you're not adding anything on defense. I think for the most part, the defense is fine. Now, I did mention to Joe before we came on, and this is it's the stats are ugly because they play together. But Adam Boquist was on the ice for all three goals tonight, and Calvin DeHaan was on the ice for one of them, I guess. He was a -1, but those two as a pairing, I think they've been paired together for about 3 or 4 games now. I don't like that as a pair, and I know I've been praising Boquist as of late, but that's more for him, like his confidence in what he's been doing offensively versus defensively. And I just don't like that as a pairing. And I'm going against myself, right? Because I've been saying I don't like the vets paired together, but I don't like Boquist and Dahan together. I think that's
Do
just
you think
at
you switch then Mitchell and and Boquist? Do you put Boquist?
no. I put Boquist back was Zadorov probably, but see this is the problem. Like they miss having, I think, Bodan in the lineup. They really do. As weird as that is to say, and having 7 defensemen, I think they miss that. Or even a Lucas Carlson, either one of them, because you don't have to put Murphy and DeHaan together, and you can keep the rookies sheltered. And I don't know. Like I liked Zadorov and Boquist together, uh, which started the season, and I think played a even when Boquist came back was a pairing. But for whatever reason, they've put Boquist with DeHaan, maybe to bump up his minutes. Um, and maybe they're a little bit worried about, because Zadorov, again, not a top 4D, but uh, can is a good top, third pair defenseman. And he played really well again tonight. 6 hits, shot on goal, block shot, created the turnover that led to the Hawks shorthanded goal by Carpenter. And boy, I have to tell you, I'm beginning to wonder if COVID gives you like magical powers. Because if you look at the guys that have, other than Lucas Walmark, everybody that's gotten COVID and been in COVID protocol, all of them have come back and played excellent. DeBrinket, Carpenter, Boquist, before tonight at least. And it's like, did they get like, does it give you like steroids or something? Like, it's the strangest thing. Um, that those guys have come back and been just all the three of them have been excellent. Walmart obviously not the greatest, but again, I mean he's not really playing much anyway to even concern yourself with it. But um, yeah, I mean there's not much really to say about this game really, other than the Hawks couldn't get through the neutral ice and bad luck, and they're decimated with injuries.
Right. And like I said, at this point though, you look at it. This is it's another learning experience for having the team that we have. It's a young team, so and I don't want to use a moral victory here, but we did get a point. Dallas didn't get any points. And that's the most important thing. I think, at this point right now, against teams like Tampa, who are not to say far better, but they're better than we are. We need to find a way to get points in any way possible. So whether it's taking them into overtime or taking them into a shootout and either winning or losing, at least it's a point in the bank. Should we have had to? Absolutely. But it is what it is. And hopefully, like you said, now tomorrow you come back and you got to play, in a 24-hour turnaround. So let's see what happens tomorrow. You learned a lot from this game. You learned that you could play with this team, so they're beatable. I mean, obviously they don't get beat often, but they are beatable. And, whether it's, obviously they've only been beaten, 5 out of 21 times, which is very impressive, but they're beatable. So I mean, we proved we can hang with them. We just got to learn how to finish them off.
Well, yeah, and again, I think part of finishing them off too would would help obviously with the full roster. But I agree with you. I think the fact that you got a point tonight is something to hang your hat on. The fact that you're going to beat them is something to hang your hat on. And I agree with you. I think uh, I mentioned this to you before we uh, went on air that these are like playoff games, and it's a good. I think it's good experience uh, for the young players being in playoff caliber games before you're in the playoffs. And I think that's why for me, and we haven't talked about Kevin Lankinen at all. I don't think Lankinen played awful at all tonight. I think Lankinen was fine, if not very good.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
stopped what 40, was it 44 shots or
he had 31 on 34 shots.
oh okay. So yeah.
So 912 save percentage. And that last goal at 1/10 of a second is why his save percentage is not far better than 912. Keep that in mind, folks. But yeah, I think to me, I'm playing him tomorrow and I'm playing him again on Sunday. Unless something horrible happens tomorrow, I think you play Lincoln in all three games. We got Dallas coming up after the series. I think that's a perfect time to get Subban back in the lineup on Tuesday. But with these games, and you want points, so you know, and Lankinen's your starter. At some point, he's got to be able to take the reins and roll. So, and I know they like, or a lot of teams are doing this where they offset. You go, I go, you go, I go, kind of a deal with their goalie tandems. But I, I think you're Lankinen hasn't had a back to back yet, and he hasn't played kind of playoff caliber teams yet, other than Carolina. So I think this is a great test for him, and that's something that you want him to experience, uh, not just for this season, but for his development overall in terms of playing a back to back, especially now, right after a tough loss. If he can come back and I don't want to say get a shutout, but like if he can come back and stand on his head tomorrow, I mean, I think like a win tomorrow is very important. And I guess we haven't talked about that, but I think for the psyche of this team, tomorrow is a huge game because if you win tomorrow, then you can go into Sunday and go, well, we've gotten 3 out of 4 points, and now we can go and get 5 out of 6 on
Right.
Sunday. So
Right.
like tomorrow's game is really a big game, I think, for Chicago, and not just for points and stuff, but it's like the Hawks need to make a statement here with this series about that they're for real. Like, and we just start we should start getting more respect
Right,
because
and that could have happened tonight. Like I said, if Highmore scores on that breakaway and DeBrincat doesn't hit the post in overtime, I mean we're talking a 3-2 victory here, or a 4-2 victory in regulation. If we had an empty netter after Highmore shot goes in instead of being stopped. So again, they if they play the way they did tonight and eliminate the two mistakes that they made that led to the Tampa goals, we're talking about a win. There's no question about it. So, um, just build on it, learn from it, and move on. Like I said, at least it's not something that's going to stick in their heads for very long. You go to sleep, you have it on your mind a little bit. You go to sleep tonight, you come back tomorrow, and the slate is wiped clean, and you start again. So
well,
we've again, go ahead.
I mean, I mentioned this earlier, and I think it's important about how well they. I don't want to say they played well today because I don't think they played well. I think they played okay. Um, and it's a game they obviously it's a game they should have won, obviously, but it wasn't like I don't think it's their best game. by any means, but Charlie Remuliotis put this out about kind of the offensive analytics. So shot attempts, Chicago had 76 to 58. Shots on goal, Hawks had three shot advantage at 37 to 34. 5-on-5 scoring chances were 38-24 Chicago. And then high danger chances at 5-on-5 were 11-3 Chicago.
Right. That's what I said. We only allowed three high danger chances at 5-on-5 to this team. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to my point of, and again, we're beating dead horses here, but and I'm sorry, you guys, but like it is the story of the season. This team is really good. The Hawks are really good. And by really good, I mean if you put Taves and Doc on this roster, they're a cup contender. Like they're going to be one of the better teams in the West. Not saying they win the cup, but they're going to be a top 3, top 4 team probably in the Western Conference in a normal season with Doc and Taves on this roster, most likely. Again, I still think you need another offensive player, but again, without Doc and without Taves and without another offensive weapon, they outchanced high danger chances the defending champions 11-3. And again, maybe what is not talked about in that stat is the defense. We haven't really talked about that. And I said I don't like that one defensive pair, but look, defense is not this team's problem. This just isn't. Everyone I know, that's been the story for like the last 3 years, but it's not. Like, it, we didn't even, Bodan's not in the lineup tonight. All these rookies that they've got, these prospects that aren't even in the lineup right now, like, this is impressive. And it speaks to what this team is going to be going forward. Like, they very well could win more cups with Kane and Taves, assuming Taves comes back, which is big if at this point. But assuming that happens, they're not far off. They really aren't. They're like a young Carolina, kind of. They've got a really good defense. Carolina's defense first, right? And they've been slowly developing their offense. The Hawks are very similar to that. And the Hawks, I think, have better goaltending than they do. So there's no reason to think that. And here's the other thing: in a normal season, Carolina and Tampa Bay, we're not playing them, and we're not playing Columbus either. We're playing the teams out west. And other than Vegas and maybe Minnesota, but even Minnesota, I think they're beaten up on a lot of, like, there's a lot of bad teams in that division out there. So like that's something to keep in mind too, is that when things go back to normal about who we're going to be playing. LA is not that good, Anaheim's not that good, San Jose is a disaster. Vancouver looks like it's turning into a disaster. Like I know this is a Chicago podcast, but I really would love to talk about what the hell is going on in Vancouver, because that was a team last in the playoffs, at least, that looked like it was on the rise to a Stanley Cup contention caliber team, and now the wheels are like I don't know if it was just losing Markstrom or what, but the wheels have fallen off that team and organization. Uh, and Edmonton is Edmonton. Calgary is middling like they've been the last few years. Like and even Colorado is struggling, right? Colorado is supposed to be this juggernaut of a team. And entering tonight, the Blackhawks had a better winning or a better points percentage than Colorado. Granted, Colorado's played fewer games, but still, it's still
Yeah.
going off the point percentage out of the amount of games that you've played. So,
Right. And like I said, the Blackhawks are young, man. And again, I think it was one of their better game. I don't think it was their best game of the season,
yeah,
but it
no,
was one
I
of
don't
their
think
better
this was their
games.
best game.
So, but they're learning, and they're playing with heart. They're playing. they're battling hard, and I'm not going to discredit them for going out there and playing the way they've been playing, because overall it's been very good, and it's I think it's far exceeded many of our expectations of what we thought this team was going to be. So we can't just, I know we want to win and we want to make the playoffs and we want to get to the promised land again, but this team is going to get there. And like you said, Kyle, we're not that far away. I mean, you take the injuries out of the equation, we're right there. And I think, like I said, next season could be a telling tale for this team. And, let's see what they can do. We knew this is going to be a tough month. We're one game down. We got 10 more games to go in this, pretty tough 11 game stretch here in the month of March. So, um, like I said, it starts with tomorrow. Come back and find a way to win a hockey game.
Right. I'm gonna throw this out to you to kind of take up maybe a little bit of a better, more of a positive spin because I don't, look, this loss hurt obviously, but I think there's positives, right? And I want to kind of end the show tonight on some positives. So, uh, let's talk about. I'm trying to pull up his stats here, but Lucas Reichel, who was the first over or not first overall, he was the first round pick for the Hawks uh, this past draft, and I believe he's on a 4 game point streak, and he's been playing excellent over in Germany. And I know before this season began, they were speculating that he would be coming over, I believe, in 2022. So it'd be the 2022-23 season. But with the numbers that he's putting up and playing top minutes, do you think they bring him over next year?
I think that all depends on their situation. I think they're going to, obviously evaluate everything at the end of the year and who's, you know, I have to see like what pans out, and what, are they going to try to spend in free agency this off season, or are they going to, like you said, maybe go with somebody like Reichel that they drafted. So um I guess that all depends on what happens with the cap and what Stan Bowman wants to do.
Okay, so here's the stats. So he's got 4 assists and a 3 game assist streak, and 11 points in 8 of his past 9 games, and 18 points, 6 goals, 12 assists in 21 games this year. Um, that's 18-year-old, I believe 19-year-old now, Lucas Reichel, who is the Hawks' first round pick from last off or yeah, I guess last off season, last year's draft. Uh, Another guy who's been playing really well in their neck of the woods is Landon Slagert, I believe is how you pronounce his name,
Mhm.
who's playing for the University of Notre Dame. Um, he's been playing really well. He was, I
And
believe,
what
the
about that Russian, that Maxim Sholinov?
Shalunov. Scott
Shalinov?
Bauer's his favorite dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of had a little bit of a bounce back season. I still don't know if they're gonna bring him over because he's I think 27 now. So don't know if I don't know if they'll bring him over or not. But yeah. By the way, Landon Slager was the NCAA Rookie of the Month for February. So props to him. Um, you've got a lot of defensive kids that are playing down in Rockford, right? Because the problems with COVID and getting players in at juniors. So uh, I think Camesso was their second round pick.
Yeah.
This yeah, all three of their picks from last year's draft, from first, second, and third round, are all playing well. Like I said, I listed Reichel's numbers just a little bit ago. Um, Camesso's done really well. I believe he's at Boston. And then Slager, obviously NCAA Rookie of the Month for February. So really good news on the prospect front. Um, good things, obviously, are coming. So keep all of that in perspective when we are looking at losses like this to teams that are just loaded. Uh, you know, this is the type of stuff that's going to make the Hawks into a Tampa Bay type team or a Carolina type team. So, um,
Right. This is, yeah, we're building and we're learning. And like I said, hopefully we get there. It seems like we're on pace at least to get there sooner rather than later.
yeah, did I cut you off? Like, I think you were going to say something, or maybe I'm imagining that.
No, no, you're good. So I think,
Okay.
like I said, tomorrow let's just maybe, if we can make some adjustments on the power play, maybe we'll, try to crack through on and get a couple, a couple goals on the power play again. And I think the key is, continue to score first. And, you know, that's why I said, you can't, especially against a team like Tampa, it's pretty tough to chase the game against them. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, and real quick, last note on the prospects. Wyatt Kalanick, who we've talked about relentlessly, now has uh, 6 points in 4 AHL games. Again, I don't know how that kid has not gotten into an NHL game yet, especially with the injuries that this team had. Um, but you gotta love to see it, I guess. 1 goal, 5 assists in 4 games for Wyatt Kalanick down in Rockford. But with that, everybody, again, we'll wrap this up. Real quick, Joe, do you think Lankinen starts tomorrow?
I would think so, and I hope he does. But yeah, again, I don't know now with what Tampa's going to do. But um, I don't know. I hope he does, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think we talked. It's projected that Curtis McElhaney will be their um, starter tomorrow. And for all of our Quad Cities listeners, you should know Curtis McElhaney because back in the day, he was the starting goaltender for our American Hockey League team here when he was a wee youngin with the Calgary Flames way back in the day, back in 2008. So about 10 years ago. But yeah, um, I was happy to see he got his cup last year with Tampa and that he's kind of niched out a role for himself here in the NHL, even if he is, I think, about 35 now. We're all getting old, kids. um, but with that, we will wind this down again tonight. Chicago Blackhawks lost in overtime on the last 1/10 of a second to the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Score of 3-2. They are right back at it tomorrow at the United Center against the same Tampa Bay Lightning. And we will be back with the review of that game for all of you to listen to on Saturday morning. But until then, everybody, stay safe, uh, wear your masks, and since you're going to be listening to this tomorrow morning, let's go Hawks and let's get a W tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, get ready for tomorrow, and let's get a win tomorrow, and get some momentum going for the game Sunday.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
All right, thanks again, guys.